The name of the class is Intro to PLCs. It was originally assigned to Miss Britley LeGrand, but some of the classes that I was scheduled to teach didn't make. So what they did is they rearranged our courses so everybody, all full-time instructors, would have a full load. So this is one of the classes that I picked up, and it's one of the classes called Intro to PLCs, ILT 194. And of course, this is a Blackboard supported class. Everybody use Blackboard? Everybody, this is their first semester? Everybody okay? You got never used Blackboard? So the way we get to Blackboard, and when you do your, unfortunately, they teach you all this in orientation, the Freshman Academy, but then they put you in the classes that require the use of this program or this application without having that. So you can access it through Lawson State's website, which is a link to a link. I'm sorry about the website, but I have nothing to do with it. But the actual internet address or US URL is just Blackboard. And this is on your brief that we gave out. Everybody got a brief? So how to access Blackboard, blackboard.lawsonstate.edu. Right up that, and then, oh, I'm sorry, www. No, that's not right. It's just Blackboard. Okay, this will take us there anyway. And then this is the login screen for Blackboard. What I recommend you do, you're going to be using this all the time here at the college, is to go ahead and put your shortcut up on your bar at the top. And then your username is going to be on your schedule, but it's going to be the first part of your schedule without the at students at lawsonstate.edu. So if you look at your schedule, you'll see your student name on there. And usually it's your first initial, followed by your last name, followed by the last 4 digits of your student ID number. Of course, mine's not that. And your default password is going to be, I think it's ABC1234. And the first thing you need to do when you log in, since that everybody in the campus uses that, and would be pretty easy if people know your first name and your last name, all they need now is your student ID number to access your Blackboard account. Okay. So the first thing you probably need to do is change the password. How do you change the password? So we have 2 places we come into in My Institution, and then you have My Institution and Courses, and they're pretty simple, pretty similar. But the first page that loads is My Institution. You look over to the left on the manual, it's got a lot of personal information. So what you do is you just click on Personal Information, and then one of the options in here is to do what? Change the password. And of course, you already use a password that you're familiar with, right? Another thing that's going to pop up is all the courses that you have been enrolled with at Lawson State. So if this is your first semester, the only thing that's going to pop up there is the classes you're in. But as you go through your tenure here at the college, every class you've ever taken is going to end up in this list. So what happens? Ends up extremely long. So if you was to look at my list, it would be unbelievable. So if you notice when I come in here and hover right here in the upper right-hand corner, I get a little gear. And then I can click on that gear. And then what I can do is I can select the courses that are displayed in my listing. Now, if you take it out of the list, they're not going to be deleted. They're just not displayed anymore. And what this will do is it'll make it real convenient because you're not trying to find a class in a list of 100 classes, right? I think in the ILT, AUT program, or even your AOT program, you probably got 30, 40 classes that would end up in there by the time you get out. So all you have to do is just, if it's got checks out in here, it's going to be visible. What I like to do is just come over here and click on this bar over here, and it'll just clear all the checks, and then those classes will no longer be displayed. Unfortunately, it's going to do the same thing in courses, except the courses are displayed on, instead of being displayed on the right, they're displayed on the left. And it'll do the same thing. You can come up here and do exactly the same thing by just clicking on the little gear and deciding what courses you want to be displayed. Are we okay? Okay, so this is the Blackboard site for ILT 194. This is a very, very important site. So it comes into what we call the home page, and then you have the main course menu over on the right-hand side. And this is Advanced PLCs. I clicked on the wrong one. So if you're enrolled in that class, here's 194. So this is the Blackboard site. First thing, announcements. So any announcements that I make according to the campus, the class will pop up here. But what I do is I also send you a college email. Anytime I post an announcement, I'll also send it out by email. Then the course calendar, which is still in the works. But we'll see in our brief or our syllabus that we have 3 tests during the semester. And so there's the course calendar. So right now, y'all know we have a test on the 25th. So all the tests are already scheduled for the term, so you know when we're going to have it. So we have a test on the 25th, then on February the 8th. And then we have another test. The third test is on the 20th. And then our final exam will be on the 3rd. You'll know when the tests are going to be laid out. And of course, this is a mini-term class. Everybody understand mini-term? So you're okay there. Then our first week, this is where we'll spend a little time. This is your first week in course information. So what we do is this is where your syllabus is going to be at, and the brief that I just gave you. Now, the brief is actually part of the syllabus. But the problem is that we don't print the syllabus off anymore. I think in this class, the syllabus is like 7 or 8 pages. The college has about 3,000 students. If they're taking 4 or 5 classes, do the math. We'd be killing thousands of trees every semester just to run the syllabus. So we don't give out the syllabus anymore, but there's important information on the syllabus that you need to be able to carry, like to the bookstore. So there's very important information on there. If you look at your syllabus, it shows you what's required for the course, the books that are required, and the other material that's required by the class. So what we do is we run off this little 1-page brief that we give out in class. And of course, that way you can have something to carry with you in your books or stuff like that when you go to the bookstore or wherever you decide to go and get the supplies for the class. So when you look at the brief, what's on the brief? What information is on the brief? Yeah, it gives you who the instructor is for the class. So my name's Bruce Brown. And then we have 2 more people that you can contact relative to information about me. So if I'm not here, you can contact one of these persons if something happens that I can't make it. Also, anything about your degree plan, you can contact any of these 3 information. As far as advising go, any of these 3 people can advise you here at Lawson State. So I mean, if I'm down as your advisor, if Brittany's down as your advisor, if Hoyt's down as your advisor, and you can't get in contact with him, then you got 2 more options. You can get in contact, and all of us are very knowledgeable about the program, and should be able to help you. Registering for classes, any of us can do that if you need help with that. The book, I couldn't find my book this morning. Anybody got their book? Christine, you still didn't bring it?
I forgot. I have my workbook, but I left my regular book.
Anybody got the textbook? Yeah, the textbook looks like this, Programmable Logic Control. It's a hardbound book. Max Ruby. Then the laboratory manual that we use this in both Intro to PLC and Advanced PLC. Size register for that and T2. Then you need to have a scientific calculator with trig functions. You need to have a USB thumb drive, post-it flags. When we look at our PLC, we've got all these switches and these push buttons and these lights on our programmable controller trainers. And every lab that you do, thing changes. And you're trying to say, okay, which push button do I need to press? What does that do? So what we do is we use these post-its. We don't want you writing on our trainers in there. And what you do is you just write what that means on a little post-it, and you can put it above your switches and everything else. You know, that not only helps you to run the program, but it also helps me to know when I look at your diagram what I should expect to happen, right? So I know which push button or switch is used for each function. Digital multimeters, this is optional. We'll talk a little bit about digital multimeters, but you're going to go ahead and get that. And then this is the procedure for locking into Blackboard. This is what I just showed y'all, right? Okay. And then there should be a procedure down to show you how to check your college email. Everybody okay on the brief? So it shows what time the class meets, shows what room it meets in. No, it don't. Originally, we scheduled the room for a 200, which is not really good to use as a classroom anyway, because it's more of a lab oriented. That's where our lab is going to be at. Then we have another class called Sensor that we canceled, that we put in here. And we canceled that class, so you probably saw the signs on the door. So that's why we moved it down here, because this is more. We'll make class in here, and then we'll do our lab in 200. That's where all our PLCs. Hopefully we can get all those PLCs working down there, and we will. We might spend one of our first lab periods doing that. We got a course calendar that I'm still working on that shows you exactly what we're going to be doing every day that the class meets. We have 15 classes available to us. I think in the textbook we go through 7 chapters, I think. And then if you take the advanced PLCs, we'll start up where the intro to PLCs left off. So let's go back and actually look at the course syllabus and make sure we understand that. You're required to read the syllabus, so I'm not going to read the whole syllabus. I'm just going to go over some highlights on the syllabus. So this is right off Blackboard. So course description, y'all can read that. Prerequisites, general admission status. So that's why we're going to have to do a little introduction to electricity. You got to have a little feeling of electricity before you can really do this. Gives your textbook again, gives you about Blackboard. That's wrong, guys. I thought I corrected that. This is not ETC 100, this is ILT 190. A lot of this is copied and pasted from other syllabus because all our syllabus are the same, or syllabi are the same. So I'll come back and correct that for you. These are the assignments that we're going to be doing. Hopefully we get to troubleshooting. This is the way the course is set up as far as your grade average goes. Our tests, we'll have 3 tests during the term. That's going to be 26% of your grade. Your assignments are 10% of your grade. Your first week physics is 2%. Having the required supplies is 4%. Lab is 32%, and the final count is 20%, 26% of your grade. College policy at Lawson State, you've got to make at least a D pass the class. What's your name? Did you get the email about if you were pre-registered, they dropped you from the course? Okay, so we're going to have to put you back in the class. So we'll have to re-register you. Yeah, they purged the roll. So you have to make at least a C to pass this class. I mean, to make a D, you'll have to retake it. Tests, we give 3 tests during the term. We don't give makeup tests. But what we do is we drop your little test score. So we're only giving 3. This is an interim, guys. What we do is we meet the class twice as long, but we teach it in 8 weeks instead of 16 weeks. One of the primary reasons we do that, for one thing, it reduces the number of classes that you're taking per mini term. So you're not studying for 5 classes, you're only studying for 2 or 3, right? You understand? The primary reason that we do it is that when we say, okay, let's go to lab, okay, and then we'll be down here in the classroom and I say, okay, let's go to lab. How long will it take us to get down there and get ready and start doing labs? And then at the end, we say, okay, we need to start shutting everything down. Well, if you take that amount of time, which would be about 30 minutes, and multiply it by 16 weeks, that's a few days, right? You understand? If you take that same amount of time and multiply it by 8, that means we get more lab time if we do it in a mini term. And that's the primary reason that we do in mini terms. We get more lab done if we do it in mini terms. So what that means is over a 16-week term, we cover, over an 8-week term, we cover the material, and the classes meet twice a week. So that means if you miss one day, you miss what's covered in a week of classes in a mini term. You don't understand that. So if you have a tendency to be, and probably 95% of the students that fail my classes is because one, they miss classes. I almost guarantee. So and the way our tests run is we give a test, we give the test at the end of the class. That way, because we cannot give you a test and let you go home if we give the test at the start of class, because that means we miss a whole day of lecture or whatever we need to do. So what we do on test days is we'll be in lab. We'll try to schedule it so we'll be in lab at the start of the class, and then we'll take the test at the end of the class. And then that way, if you get through early, so the other way, if we give the test at the start of the class and you get through early, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to hang around because we can't let the class out because we'd lose the whole day of lecture. So what we do is we give the test at the end of class. And what that means is that you get through early, now what can you do? You can leave, right? Okay, does that make sense? Except for the third test. And what we do is the next class we go over the test. So if you hadn't taken the test, what does that mean? That means I can't go over the test the next class. And then these tests roll around about every four classes. Because we're having 3 tests, there's only 15 classes, you can do the math, right? You understand? So we don't give makeup tests, but what we do is we drop your lowest test score at the end of the term. And we only drop 1. Well, I'm laughing at that. I've had more than one student every test that say, this is the test I'm going to drop. I say, you can only drop 1. So we don't drop any tests. We drop 1 test, but this is only dropped where? At the end of the term. Everybody understand that? Okay. But we already have the test schedule, so you can already look at it, and we know that things happen. On a mini term, if you miss 2 days, you're really in trouble. 2 tests, you're really in trouble. But if you miss 1 day and you do well on your other tests or 1 class, then you're going to do okay in the class. Everybody okay? Assignments. So assignments are posted in the assignment section. Right now we have 2 assignments. So assignments, and they're on the course calendar. The first assignment you're going to do is you're going to read the syllabus. You're going to do a safety and evacuation plan, dress code. Located in the first week of course information section of the course website. Once reading the assignment is completed, submit your agreement to the contents of the syllabus for the start of the 2nd class. Take the online quiz for both safety and evacuation syllabus. There's no quiz on the dress code. It's part of the site, so by midnight Friday after the first week of fasting, right? So that means this Friday you've got an assignment. So when I come over here and look at first week in course information, I'm going to try to. There we go. Here's your first week quizzes and agreements. So here's your syllabus agreement. And this is kind of like when you install applications and stuff on your, even on your cell phone. A lot of times it'll pop up there, and you have what we call a EULA, an end user license agreement. And if you answer no to that, what happens? Anybody ever answer no? Don't y'all see all these accepts and all this kind of stuff y'all run into? Well, what happens if you don't accept or you don't agree? Well, everything just terminates. You're out, right? You understand? So if you don't agree with the syllabus, what does that mean? It means you can't take the class. So this is why we require you to click on this. And so what I'm doing right now, I'm recording this class, and if you look at the Blackboard site, there's something called recorded lectures. And so even if you're not here, you're still required to do this, right? Everybody understand that? And this basically says I agree with the syllabus. Down here says if I don't agree, then I have to schedule a meeting with me to figure out what's wrong with the syllabus. And then there's a syllabus quiz up here. I got this from one of the college courses I took, but our professor didn't let us know that. So it was a he. So he gave out the syllabus the first class, and guess what he did the second one? He gave a test on the syllabus. So just to prove that you read the syllabus, we have you a syllabus quiz. Of course, it also includes information on the brief, because in our class, the brief and the syllabus is one unit. So you got a syllabus quiz, you got a safety evacuation quiz, and you got a dress code agreement that you need to do. And this is all due by Friday midnight. Everybody okay there? Oh, that's not the right one. First week quizzes, lab assignments, attendance. We talked about how important it is for attendance. Another thing that I've had problems with is how to withdraw from the class. A lot of students are under the impression if they just stop coming, that they are withdrew from the class. I cannot withdraw you from the class. The only person that can withdraw from a class is you. So what that means, if you just stop coming, then I grade you like you were here. So that means if you miss a test, you get a what on it? You get a 0. If you don't do the lab, you get a 0. If you don't do assignments, you get a 0. And what do you get at the end of the term? You get an L. Everybody understand that? So to officially withdraw from the class, you can do this online. When I first started teaching here, if a student wanted to withdraw from a class, they had to get a piece of paper. And it was an official withdrawal form, and they had to go to every one of their instructors and get the instructor to sign that they knew that the student was going to withdraw from the class. We don't do that anymore. So how do you withdraw from the class now? You do it online. So online, there's several places you can find it, but this tells you how to get to it. So what you need to do is you need to do an e-withdrawal. Just go to Lawson State, and then withdraw using the official withdrawal process. And then what they do is they send me an email telling me that you withdrew from the class. And I know things happen, but but what we do, and if you withdraw from the class, you'll get a W in the class. Now, a W in the class means you're going to have to retake the class, but it doesn't count against your grade point average. Everybody understand that? But they don't let you withdraw the day of the final exam. So you'll see on the calendar there's a post-it on there that says last day to withdraw. If you withdraw by that date, you'll get a W in the class. If you withdraw after that date, you get a grade, according to what you did, according to the syllabus. Everybody understand that? So if you do real bad on the first test, I've had people want to come up and withdraw after the first test. And they'll withdraw and they won't even come talk to me. I had a guy that took a class 3 times before he finally passed it. And what happened is he came up and he says, I'm going to have to withdraw. He finally talked to me. He says, I want to withdraw from the class again. I says, well, what you probably need to do is you need to hang in and stay into the class until the last day to withdraw, and then withdraw. And then what will happen is that everything will be a repeat. So what was happening, he would withdraw up to the first test, and then he started doing real good on the first test, and then he had failed the second test because it was all new material. Okay. So he finally stuck it out, and he didn't do real good on the first test, but he hung out, and what did he do? He ended up with a C in the class. So I recommend, even if you do good on the first test, and not even on the second test, I recommend that you just stick it out and do what? And just withdraw at the last day to withdraw. And then that way everything will be a what? It'll be a repeat. It'll be something that you heard before. Academic integrity, you could read that. Student code of conduct, these are all very important. American Disabilities Act, I've had problems with this down, especially since I'm disabled. American Disability Act. I've had students come up to me and says, Rich, I need extra time to take a test. Or Rich, I need this. Or Rich, I need that. And I say, well, I cannot do that for you unless it's documented, unless I get a letter from the ADA office saying these are what we have to do for that student. And we want to give you every chance in the world to pass the class, but I cannot differentiate between anybody in the class without having that documentation. So what that means is I could not give you extra time to take a test without what? Giving everybody extra time to take the test. Okay. So if you need extra time to take the test and the class ends at a certain time and we give the test at the end, then we can set it up so you can take a test somewhere else with some type of proctor for the test. And then you can have a lot of time to take the test. So y'all need to, if you've got any type of disability where you need some considerations, I'm not going to solve them. I'm not calling it special considerations. You need to have this ability to successfully complete this course. Then on this campus, you need to talk to Mr. Renee Herndon. And it gives you the contact information here somewhere. Oh, this is not the right syllabus, guys. I need to update that. And then I can't remember who it is on the Birmingham campus. So I'll upload that. Like I said, I was not assigned to teach this class until I think we did Friday. Children on campus, we don't allow children on campus for any reason. I had one of my students last semester showed up for lab with his kid. Sorry. And then some notes. Some important notes. If you think you're failing the class, you need to make an appointment with either me or your advisor and see what we can do to help you get through it. We have tutoring services available. We have through adult education. We got a lot of services available in the college that would help you to get through the course or any course here at Lawson State. Ownership of material. Another thing, I use it once I learn your name. I'm not going to call row, but I do row. We're row taking college. So I usually do roll at the start of class. And then if you're not here, I put an absent down there. And I'm the absent minded professor, so that means if you come walking into the class late and I sit here and I look at you, that don't mean you're on roll. You still would be what? Absent. So what I mean, what you need to do if you come in late for class, then you need to let me know you're here. And then now I've got a mental note. Our preacher in church on Sunday, he needed to remember something, so he had his wife hold her finger up. So he would do what? So he'd remember, had a mental note, so he'd remember to come back to something. Well, I don't want you to do that. Just come up and say, Rich, I'm here. Also, as a safety concern is that if you need to leave class early, And just as a common courtesy to me, because things could happen. So, if we have a fire and I think you're here and you did not let me know you were not here, then what's going to happen? Well, they're going to send somebody back in here doing what? Looking for you. Right? You understand that? So if you're going to leave, and there's no excused absences in college, number one. So you don't have to say, Rich, is it okay if I go? Because what am I going to say? I'm going to say no. Because why? Because if I say it's okay if you leave, then you get out here and get in a wreck and say, well, I wouldn't have been in this wreck if Rich wouldn't have let me go early. So all you need to say is say, Rich, I need to go. And of course, I might talk to you a little bit and tell you what you're going to be missing. Just take that with a grain of salt. So if you leave class early, you need to let me know. Or if you come in class late, you need to let me know. And profanity in the classroom. You need to learn about that. I could just imagine you get out on a job interview and you start using cuss words. Like my grandson. My grandson had a job interview and he went wearing shorts, tennis shoes. And guess what? You get the job. So that's basically briefly what's on the course syllabus. And of course, you're required to read it and take that syllabus quiz. And I'll upgrade this. I'll update the correct syllabus today. Well, as far as I know, I think the only error I saw was right here. This is the wrong course number, and then they don't have the correct ADA information in there. And it's pretty much well the same. The only thing that they do is no, there it is. It's here. I'm sorry. Was there another one in here? Academic integrity. This is the right one. So the only thing in there, this is the right one. So here's the contact information and the location of the ADA office here on the Bessemer campus and the Birmingham campus. So any questions on the syllabus? Okay, what we'll do is we're going to take about a 30-minute break. Can't afford not to look at something. But we're not going to talk about PLCs today. We're going to talk about a couple things in mind. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little brief tour of basic electricity to make sure you understand that. And then what we're going to do, we'll finish up the class. We're going to go over to our mechatronics lab and let y'all see some PLCs in action over there. Get you a feel of what you're doing. When we look at our PLC trainers, we're going to have a bunch of switches and we're going to have a bunch of lights that turn on. And when you actually see these things in true life and how they operate, then hopefully you'll get a better understanding of why we do what we need to do. For people that didn't pay, that were pre-registered in the class, we need to re-enroll y'all in the class. You need to hang around and pick that up. So let's come back right about 11:30. Sorry, let's do 11:45. No, less than an hour. No, let's do. Yeah, there's an hour plus. So let's see. It's 10:40. So what would that be? Let's do 45 minutes. 75 be 10 after. Let's come back at 11. No, let's don't do 11. Guys, y'all go ahead. I'm breaking. 11:15. Let's come back at 11:15.
Is this your lunchtime?
No, we'll have to talk about that too. We need to talk about that too. This class goes to 2 o'clock. So we'll try to figure out what we need to do. We usually give a break about, we probably give a 5-minute break we give a 10-minute break every hour. But what we usually do on this class is we usually go like an hour and a half, and then we try to do like a 30-minute lunch. We'll try to work it out that way if that's in agreement with all y'all. Okay. So what time are we coming back? 11:15. Good. Thank you. If I need to re-enroll y'all in the class, when you take care of that now? Cool. Do you know your student ID number? Oh, I got it right here. Wait. No, I don't.
I got it.
Okay. Wait a second. It's going to take a minute. I got to get the software up. See if I can find it on this computer. Yes, sir. Charles. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not in intro. Was you in intro to PLC? Well, no, you got to drop. You got to reread. They dropped everybody out of the class at that day. Everybody was pre-registered. They did it last night. They sent you an email. Sent me an email. Huh? You didn't look? So we're going to re-register you, and then you'll have till the 16th to get it back. And after that, so we can't have what happened to us last time.
I know.
That's it.
I need to go to
Yeah, they send it out student wide.
I'm saying